you'll get all a little notification. Sorry about that. What we're going to do is use a Miro board. And are you all familiar with Miro boards? I can see most of you nodding. That's good. You're going to get really familiar during this next 20-week process with Miro boards. So for now, I'm just going to present this, and the way that if you've never used Miro, you stick it into present mode. And this is what we said the agenda would be for today. Oh, it's not going. If you check your own Miro boards, so in the Southern Tablelands, Northern Rivers, Western Murray, you each have your own Miro boards. And actually, what they show are the submissions that we've had in each region. So you'll note there's been 12 people for the working team submitted, but in the Upper Clarence, they've had 7 farmers express interest. In the Northern Rivers, 11 farmers. In the Western Murray, 8 farmers. And in the Southern Tablelands, 7 farmers. So we're aiming to get a pilot group of 10, ideally. So, we've got a bit of work to do between now and when we kick off next week. The week commencing the 6th will be week 1 of our landscape impact program, just to make sure that we've got 10 if we're short on numbers, or that we, have an eligibility and a criteria, say in the Northern Rivers, Deanna, where you've got 11 applicants. You might actually have to, with Gavin and myself, or if you need help with that, sit down and weed out the ones that are going to be most representative and most useful for this process. It's not a democracy or a first in, first served. We're trying to make a program work. So there's a bit of a, subjective experience needed if we get more than 10. So your role as the Regen advisor is really kind of the trusted advisor and making sense of what's happening as agriculture and climate and environment markets all kind of converge. It can be overwhelming for individual farmers, and it's overwhelming for myself and Rowan at times because of the pace of change. And the role of a Regen advisor is really to help navigate the changing landscape with farmers, sometimes for the very first time. So what you'll find is there's 2 types of farmers that you'll be onboarding. There'll be those that, already have an opportunity in mind. They might be like, oh, I want to do a soil carbon project because I've been managing holistically and doing my time controlled grazing, and I've now got, a solid basis. I want to get a baseline and I want to do a soil carbon project. On the other hand, there'll be people who are like, I'm a bit overwhelmed. I hear I'm going to need this for scope 3 reporting to my supply chain. Tell me how I should be doing this. And so that's really your first division of who you'll be onboarding and what you sort of need to cater for. And the really interesting thing about this role is that it's kind of a handy role in that there is both this question about what can you do environmentally in the landscape to make an impact, and what can you do agronomically or from the production side of the business to make sure that it's got an economic upside as well. And there are plenty of those opportunities. So when you increase soil fertility, you're increasing soil carbon, you're getting improved production. When you're increasing hydration, you're also, creating resilience to flood and drought, but you're also keeping water in the landscape, which has a greater production outcome. And, so that they're not a trade-off necessarily, but you need to understand the agronomic and the environmental considerations that farmers need to pit against one another or see how they work together. It's also strategic in that you're helping farmers guide themselves through a pretty interesting and new area of business, but it's also very practical. You've got to help them navigate buttons on a computer screen using Zoom and screen share. So there's, nothing that's too highfalutin about it. You're definitely doing meaningful work with them. And it's also personal in that, any of this which you'll take them through, they could do on their own. Technically, it's none of these tools are highly complex, but farmers often don't have the confidence and want to be handheld or sherped through a process. And what you're doing is being that personal reassurance as they're going through medium level technology, so that if they fall over or if they have a question, you're there to be able to help them with that. Okay. So for each of your Miro boards, you'll have a list of those people who've expressed interest. You've seen the numbers so far. And in their expression of interest, we have already captured their telephone number, their consent, their email address, why they want to be part of the program. What you're going to do, is book in your pilot 10. Now, we're going to pay you for this job. So it's $560 per farmer that you do an onboarding with and present them with their report. So because we're paying you, we have expectations around the job. And there's some work-related and financial admin things that are a necessary part of this as well. You'll find that job description all over the Miro board and in other places, the project control sheet, and here again in this explainer. But I've done you a little template. I think many of you will have seen this before. If you haven't, this was just the Northern Rivers farm letter post DOI. So Deanna, you could lift this, or Gavin, you could lift this, and you'd insert the name of the person who's been in touch. Thank you for showing interest in being the pilot 10. This is what we're going to do. We're going to answer, what can I do individually and collectively? In return, you're going to get farm insights. And what you're going to get them to do is book a time with you. And the second step of what we're going to get that to do is is actually go to the product page and purchase their onboarding. So just to keep with that Northern Rivers, Deanna, you might be sending them this link to the Northern Rivers, and it will say it's $800, and it's a description of what they're going to get. It's a reminder of the fact that during the EOI, they gave permission to share some data. It lays out the expectations over the next 20 weeks until the CER readiness grants are ready. And that is replicated for the Upper Clarence, Southern Tablelands, Western Murray. You've got your own product pages, and you've got your own list of individuals who you can send a template letter to. And that will get them to book in time with you, a day, a date. You probably need 2 hours. And during that process, you'll walk them through a process that I'm going to show you in about 5 or 10 minutes time. Before we jump into that process that helps you measure carbon emissions and look for carbon opportunities and look for biodiversity opportunities, I just thought I'd get some of the administrative things out of the way and answer some of those questions. So there is $560 for 10 farmers, $560 each. So Deanna, if you're splitting that with Gavin, you might do 5 each, and you can therefore work out your expected income for that. We'll need to contract you because that work is over and above the $200 a week for participating in the next few months in the Landscape Impact Program. And you'll be contracted. So if you've got an ABN, great. If you've got registered for GST, great. Either way, whether you're registered or not, you'll need to send us an invoice every time you do one of the 10, we need an invoice for that specific farmer because it gets reconciled to our grants program. And we have to show that each of the 10 people went through and became a member and got a digital twin and did all of these things. So you'll be in a position, if you go through the landscape impact program as the Regen advisor, to really be able to assist those farmers as they have questions about not just this program, but other things. So Kim Wilson in the Trap Rock was a local private consultant, and the catalytic assistance it's providing, having had a landscape impact program to do other work. State-based Queensland Land Restoration Fund had, for example, a $10,000 grant for accredited advisors. She was able to become one of them and then start serving her community and onboarding more people into the transaction. And that's the sort of opportunities that the CER readiness grants offer. But whether they're there or not, there's a value proposition for farmers in the local community to keep working for with the Regen advisor. So one of the things we'd like you to do is when we've nailed down after this session, who the actual Regen advisors are, as opposed to who in, so Roger Knight, I'm expecting you'll want to know what the Regen advisor is doing, but I'm not expecting that you'll be the Regen advisor. I think Emma is going to be the Regen advisor. So for her, we'll want to make sure that she's got public professional workers' compensation insurance covered through Western Murray. And if you're an individual, that you've got similar insurances in hand. All right, I might just pull up there because that's already 20 minutes of talking at you. And hey, Lee, how you doing? And just see if there's any questions about how the role is positioned, what the pay looks like, what the expectations are. And then we'll talk about what an onboarding actually is.
Yeah. I have a question.
Yeah, Mel.
You mentioned there when the pilot 10, those landholders, when they do their onboarding, there's an $800 fee. Well, sorry, what's that?
Yeah, so they don't have to pay it. There's which is really good catch, Mel.
I'm like, this is new information.
Yeah, no, they need to put in this discount code.
Oh, okay, righto, great.
Yep. Good
Thank you.
catch. Thank you, Mel. But the whole idea is that for the PIPAP grant, we said in each of the regions we'd provide an $800 onboarding for the landscape impact program for 10 farmers. And the way that splits out is $240 goes to $20 a month hosting fee of the digital twin software. The other $560 goes to the Regen advisor. So we're not making any margin on it, but it's also why we need those individual invoices for which farmers did you do, because we have to reconcile that essentially that farmer got $800 worth of services from Regen Farmers Mutual.
Yeah, great. Thanks for explaining that. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for catching it. It's not going to cost the pilot 10 a thing, right? Like that's a big value proposition of what we've been saying, and it remains that way. So get them to put in that PIPAP as the discount code on the checkout, and that'll work. Yeah.
Perfect. Thanks.
I was wondering that too, so thanks for that. And the other thing that I was wondering about, that thing that had insurance and professional indemnity and all of that, I've got an ABN, so I can invoice no dramas, but I don't operate by myself currently, so I haven't got any of that kind of stuff.
I have questions about that, because at this initial stage we're not going on farms, so public liability and workers' compensation seems a bit unlikely to be an issue, but you will be giving general advice. You're not giving personal financial advice. You're not, but you're writing a report. So there's some level of assurity. Rowan, how should we handle this? Maybe the mutual should do the report and I just use the Regen advisors to help me compile it. because otherwise, you could be up for a $5,000 insurance policy to do $2,500 worth of work, and that's not.
Yep. No, if Deanna was providing the report to Regen Farmers Mutual, and then we were actually issuing that to the farmer.
Yeah.
Thanks.
So Deanna, assume that you have to get the insurances, but I don't think that sorry. We need to have insured people delivering the report to the pilot 10. So if you don't have workers' comp, public liability, and professional indemnity, you won't be able to provide that direct relationship, which is what we really are trying to seek between you and the farmer. You'll have to give it to us so that we can give it to them, and they'll have a relationship with us for billing and for liability purposes.
Yeah.
Maybe
All right.
about it is like there's an opportunity to kind of create the local business, if you like. And so the idea is the mutual's helping to create a starting portfolio of farmers who have a need for Regen advisor services. And over time, if we are doing things with those farmers, then other farmers will also want those services. So the idea is that there's an opportunity over time to create a business where you would need your own insurance and what have you. But to begin with, let's use the Regen Farmers Mutual as the entity that's kind of providing that interface.
And there's no additional risk to Regen because we're only using your information anyway. Like, we're not making many judgment calls at this stage, are we?
No.
But
Exactly.
along the way we will be. So
as we get to that latter part, if we get to June 30 and there's promising opportunities in Northern Rivers, and you've got the opportunity to have those CER readiness grants, and there's lots of other funding pools sitting around the Northern Rivers, if at that point you might then have to, we're moving out of the landscape impact program into direct services that the farmer can use their money for, that helps them get CER ready. At that point, we're no longer providing the advice. That's definitely happening locally. And that might be a decision gate for yourself or Gavin or whomever at that point. Yeah.
all right. Okay. Well, if you guys are happy with that. I mean, the way we're thinking it's going to work, it seems fairly low risk for us to kind of see how this works. And if you don't see any risk to Regen, then yeah, we'll carry on.
Cool. Thanks there. Good catch on that, Deanna. And thanks, Mel, for the anybody else got a question at this point? No, great. I'll crack on. So yes, each region has a product page and you'll have a discount code that you need to send with them. So they're gonna when they go to the page and they fill in their product, where were we? We had one of those open, didn't we? Here they are. When they go through the product page, they'll add to cart, they'll put in PIPAP, right, as their discount code, and that'll make it free for them to put in their discount code. I should have just gone add to cart, view cart. Here we go. They need to put in PIPAP like this, apply the coupon, and then that'll, oh, I must have put 2 of those in. Damn.
Yes.
Don't want that. That should have taken off 100%. Bear with me.
Looks like it's taking $100 off instead of 100%.
Yes, it does, doesn't it? So marketing coupons. This is so you guys know that I fixed the problem.
So our website runs off WordPress, and WooCommerce is what you're seeing here as a plugin to enable you to have a shop basically.
And then glad we tested this. Let's try and apply again.
We can have a look at that.
You can
Woody.
have a look at that post. Yeah, thank you. I'll make sure that that's working. But one of the things that, well, the principal reason we get them to come through WooCommerce and buy their digital twin is they're asked to become a guarantor and they become a member of the mutual. So what's that mean? It's a company limited by guarantee instead of a company limited by shares, the mutual. And that's what distinguishes it from a corporation or like a for-profit company is that it has no share capital. It doesn't matter who owns it. It's about being a member. Each member is guaranteeing up to $100 in the event that we fall over as an organization. And that's the extent of every member's liability is $100. So that's the extent of the guarantee that we have as the Regen Farmers Mutual. It's whatever our membership is times $100. So the idea is to keep the mutual thin, but we have these 10 principles about value creation and data sovereignty and risk management and informed decision and local expertise and shared learning and being user-friendly and being accountable and being collaborative and having our members first that are literally baked into our constitution. And when they become a member signed up to these 10 principles and guaranteeing it with $100. The other thing at a very practical level is that tells me, great, this farmer needs their digital twin set up. So I just wanted to take an opportunity for those of you who've not yet seen a digital twin. We'll go and have a look at one that is a farmer's, but I won't disclose whose. And you can see that they've got several assets of different types that they're monitoring. They've got several different logs. They've got tasks and a log book of what those tasks are. You can see that they're helpful for managing biodiversity and environmental programs. Also in the digital twin, records around the assets. So what are the assets and are they land boundaries? Are they structures? Are they waters? Are they wool sheds? Are they different assets? The other thing that's cool is logs. So this enables you to make an observation, say your bird count annually, or list an activity. We went out and we did weed control or pest management, etc. Integrations with the digital twin. This will change rapidly between now and June 30, but sitting here today, we've got FarmLab, which enables custodianship of soil samples. So if you're doing a soil carbon project, you need to have a barcode printed on the core, sent to the lab, and be able to trace the provenance with credibility to any of the soil tests that you do for baselining. And so that integration enables that. Look-see, we'll look at in a bit more detail in a second, but this is really how you identify carbon opportunities on a farm. And then the threatened species tool. This enables you to research the Australian Living Atlas and understand what biodiversity assets are located on the farm or nearby to the farm and should be therefore looked out for by that farm in order to get opportunities. And then My Farm Key, which connects to the My MLA. You can manage as the Regen advisor the membership of this digital twin whilst you're bringing the farmer on board, and then you kind of give them the keys to their own digital twin and you demote yourself from being the admin and you make them the admin and you just become a manager, still able to access their twin, still able to move data in and out, but as they are the admin, they're the person that can give permissioned access to other people to their data, rather than yourself. Okay, so that's the digital twin, and that costs them $240 out of their $560. The next thing that we do after setting them up with membership, after onboarding them into their digital twin, is we want to have a conversation, and we want to get their carbon emissions. So one of the best ways to have this conversation is by doing a carbon emissions, and I'll just show you an example. Would anybody like to be a guinea pig for this? This is just going to be taking you through the carbon estimation tool, and you'll see it's quite quick. So I might just use it as example 23. And we'll just say cattle and sheep for the moment, or we could do cattle and grains. You could do sheep only. It will depend on your particular area. But if
You can do
you
me, Wood, if you want.
stop, mate.
You can do me if you want.
Do you know your pick by any chance?
Yeah, 3 GAT.
Hang on, mate.
Hang on.
What's the farm name, Lee?
Oh, I just use Jolts Trading, or I'm just trying to think. 3AG. Hang on.
And you're sheep or cattle?
Sheep.
Yeah. Now, if they're a grain grower, they'll have a grain growers register code. If they're any sort of livestock, they'll have NLIS codes and PIC codes that come through their MyMLA account.
It's 3 GAT Y324.
Excellent. So
173 Walkers Road, Gumbower. Walkers Road, yeah.
we're in Victoria technically, or are you in New South Wales?
Yeah, it is in Victoria. So what my pick's registered to, which is probably not great for this.
So, and you recognise your
Go back down.
You
go up, yeah. Yeah, just on the left there where Walkers Road. See.
Yep.
So it started that dark green.
This dark green?
Yeah. Yep, that's the one.
Have you got any more boundaries, or is that it?
No, that's it.
Okay. Submit. All right, so that's your pick. And then what we're going to do is create an emissions report. So we're going to choose the last financial year. And if you'd already done an SB GAF tool, which is the sheep and beef greenhouse accounting framework tool, which they might have done in MyMLA, or they might have done in AgriWeb, or they might have done previously, then you can add that here. But we're going to create a report. And what you'll notice here is there's several question sets. So there's adding your data around pasture, consumables, livestock, purchases, which is any supplementary feed, trees that you've planted, and then your production. And when we go to look at how to identify opportunities, we'll look at avoidance opportunities in the consumables and the supplementary feed. And then we'll look at absorption and sequestration opportunities through pastures, and, you know, adding trees and looking at soil carbon projects, etc. So let's start with adding our pasture data. Lee, any urea added?
Yeah, go 100 kg. Tons. 45 by 4.5 ton.
4.5 tons a year. Lime,
None.
0. Single super.
6 point. I'm making some of this up too.
Yeah, that's right.
6.5.
Yep. Any pesticide?
Uh, yeah, Roundup and Hammer. So 45 by 90 litres.
So Roundup will get here.
Oh, yeah.
And pesticide being
Oh, yeah, no, probably not. I can't remember any of that. So we'll put 0.
any nitrogen
Um,
other than the urea.
oh, yeah, it would have been some MAP.
That would have been cut in your sink.
Yeah, probably in that. Yeah, no, we'll just put 0.
Yep. And then Roundup.
Yeah, just put 180 litres. Probably would have been 2.
Yep. Okay, so that was how quick it is really to start to look at a lot of the inputs. So Lee, petrol and diesel, do you have both on farm?
You would, yeah. Geez, litres put 820.
It's not much, mate. You're running the family car off the farm pump?
It probably should be.
Yeah, I reckon you should. Diesel?
Yeah, it'd be more diesel. I'm only guessing this too. What do you reckon is a reasonable? I don't know, 5,000.
Yeah. All right. Do you know your do you have a bill?
Yeah, but I don't know. I think it's only about a quarter, probably around $500 a quarter, because not many. Yeah, we'll go $600 a quarter. So yeah, I don't know what that equates to in kilowatts a year.
Yeah. I reckon you wouldn't even get to a megawatt, so you're fine. Yeah. And you off the state, or are you renewables at home?
Yeah, state.
Yeah.
100%.
Okay. And do you use animal equivalent or DSE? And
Yeah, animal equipment really.
yep. And how many animal equivalent are you running?
We'll just put 250.
250.
Yeah.
All right. Buy any sheep in the 22-23 year?
No, just all natural increase.
Yep. Okay. So that was submit. Sorry. No sheep purchases, so we'll leave that one blank. Okay. Do you feed them any grain, hay, or cotton seed?
It would be only hay produced on the farm. So does that count?
Yeah, it still counts, but only because they'll say it burped more, not because you've got to have transported anything. So,
Yeah, okay.
oh, does it count? Does it count? It shouldn't bloody logically.
And grown. You used it in the diesel.
Yeah. You've got it factored in the diesel, haven't you? And it's off your farm. And
Yeah.
I reckon it shouldn't count because it's just silage. Any other word?
Yeah, but it would count, wouldn't it? Because if you're either buying that feed in or you've produced it, because if you didn't feed it to your own animals, you'd be selling it to someone else.
Yeah, but you've produced it, right? So
Yeah, but your animals are still eating it no matter where it was sourced from.
yeah. All right. How many tons of hay?
Go 100 and this won't make any sense. Let's go 80 tons, something like that. I can't even remember.
Yeah, ton and a half a week.
Yeah.
The emissions be coming from your livestock number anyway.
Yeah, majority do. Any cottonseed or grains?
No cottonseed, no. 0 grain.
Okay. We're nearly there, guys, but I think you'll agree that it's pretty quick. Have you planted any trees?
No. Oh, since 1990. Shit. No, because I wouldn't have been involved in it. No.
All right. How many sheep sales did you make in 22-23?
No, 120 by, is it live weight?
Yeah, kilograms of live weight a year or total sheep sales.
Oh boy. Say 7.2. Yeah. Or yeah, 7,200. Say.
Kilograms. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep, that's right. So
Oh,
were you getting wool off them or were they no.
they're the good breed, Wardy. No work.
And would you so no wool, so you've got like 0, I'm just going to put in there 0 and that should clean that up.
Yep.
And so if we just say it's 100%
100%.
and 100%, well, not 1,000%. Now, what we've got here is a summary of Lee's very quickly worked through estimate. So to view that report, what we get out of that is the total carbon equivalent emissions and an emissions intensity of kilograms of carbon dioxide per kilogram of live weight. So we had 7,200 kilograms of live weight. We had 482 tons of carbon, which breaks into 76 kilograms of carbon dioxide per kilogram of live weight. Okay. So looking at this through a few means, the scope 1 emissions, which are, primarily this methane number, it is 396 tons of carbon dioxide equivalent out of his total of 482. So it's never been less than 80%, that I've seen. It's the big one. And then your electricity and diesel is roughly 2%. And then your pesticide and glyphosate and is another 6%. So by and large, it's directly from animals being animals that you've got your problem. So
Wardy, I've got a question. Does the fuel and the electricity, does that include your like personal household use, or is it only relating to the production on the farm? Like if you've got solar panels on your house, but you use a car on the farm, but you're also using it to drive the kids to school, do you know the answer to that?
Well, yes, I think what you want to do is treat Ruminati as an estimate only. So you can't use Ruminati for a baseline. It's not able to be 100% accurate. So when you're talking about whether the electricity was for running a cool shed and a whole bunch of farm equipment, and the house on the side might suffer in terms of materiality from separating it out. But technically, your household would have a separate carbon emissions to your farm business, and they'd break down, the ABN versus the individual. In practice, lots of farmers I know share the diesel and the petrol and the electricity between home and farm. And for materiality purposes, I think at this estimate level, you can just lump them together.
Yeah, doesn't matter so much. Okay, thank you.
If you were doing a climate active baseline, to establish your emissions position, then you'd be separating them out.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Any other questions on, so far we've covered and I'm aware we've only got 10 minutes, so I don't want to leave you high and dry, but we've covered a bit about the job and the, how to get the admin of it done. If we can get farmers who've expressed interest to go onto the website, purchase that product with PipApp, that'll spin them up a digital twin. That'll give them their own database and canonical source for the future. Like it's theirs, they own it, not Regen, not you as the advisor. It's their baby, their data set. And they could take it away with them and keep absolute control of their data. That's one of the sort of sovereign principles in our membership agreement. But we want to kind of make it useful. So we're using tools like that carbon emissions calculator to have a conversation with them through that carbon calculator, you actually, as any reasonable person, gets an idea about what that farm business is doing. Are they in sheep or beef? If they're in sheep, are they in wool or are they in meat? And you can actually build a pretty good understanding of that farmer just through going through those carbon emissions. But the next part is like, what do they want to do? It's more like aspirational, and what do they want to do with their farm? So then you're looking at the carbon opportunity and the biodiversity opportunities. And then finally, what we're doing is we're producing a report for them, which is a summary of their emissions plus what they'd like to do to decrease their emissions or get into environmental markets. That becomes their report template. And you fill that in. And in your case, Deanna, you'll send it to me and I'll share it back with the farmers. But if you are adequately already employed with PL, PI, workers' comp, then you can share it directly with the farmer. Okay, CC me in because and the rest of the crew, because we'll be interested in what's going on. So Lee, I haven't got you a particular twin, but I will show you there's two ways of doing opportunity finders for carbon. And as we were in Ruminati, I'll just show you the tool that they like to use, which is pretty good. View report, emissions report, jobs trading. Okay, so underneath Lee's kind of homepage for Jolts Trading is a reduction planner. And the reduction planner, we want to manage what we think could happen going forward. So, Lee, if it's all right, I'll just use your...
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so clearly the things that you can manage here are livestock. The numbers of animals on your farm has the greatest impact on your emissions. You can manage pastures, what you're applying. You can manage consumables, how much fuel, where that source of energy comes from, and supplementary feed. And that goes all into your avoidance. So are you planning on keeping 250 head into 23, 24 financial?
Creep up a little bit.
Creep it up. So increase it.
Yeah.
When will that happen? In 24 or 25 or 26?
I'll go 25.
25?
Oh, 24, mate. Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry, go back.
No, I'll just change that year of completion to 24 and reapply. Now, what's going to happen is you'll see that compared to the year 22, 23, because you've added more livestock, you've actually increased your number of emissions. Your baseline has risen from 483 to 560. So you've not avoided any emissions there. Is there anything in the pastures, like, will you be putting on 5 kilos a year of urea or changes to lime or your super rate? Any of those participated for any of the future years?
Probably. Oh, I'm only making this up.
No, that's fine. Yeah.
Maybe look at putting more organic or fertilizer or use of organic fertilizers to this will throw you. So say we reduce urea, then
To buy a couple of kilos to say 3 kilos, and that'll be year 24 as well.
Yeah, we'll make it.
Yep. Okay. And now with those two interactions, it hasn't had a material. It's changed 1% the CO2e, so not a huge move. What I will show you guys, if you saw how it went up when Lee was going to add livestock, if Lee was to reduce the number of cattle that he was going to have by 20% next year, feed constrained, for example, he drops from 480 tonne to 380 tonne by dropping 22% of his herd. Now, this is a key example of where a regen advisor isn't giving a solution to a farmer, but holding their hand as they start to understand, well, there are agronomic, like production trade-offs in order to meet environmental markets. And they have to work out with hopefully a full picture around what can they do in their landscape, what can they do with biodiversity and hydrology, and what can they do to meet their carbon net zero and beyond opportunities. All right. So a lot of farmers get very anxious when they see changes of that level of significance, incentivizing them not to become farmers. So, mate, you're planning on doing anything in terms of soil carbon or revegetation or planting trees at any time, Lee?
Probably not. Well, hopefully you would see a change in soil carbon with change of, I suppose, fertilizers or more to organic or natural fertilizers, but that's probably the only one I can think of. I don't know numbers around that though at all.
What we might do is make a area name like test, and we'll say that in year 25 we're going to do a area. Do you mind if I just do it up in this top?
Yeah, that's probably natural bush, but if you come back, from where that brown area is, probably better follow that. Yeah.
Let's just say for the purposes of this, that's 26 hectares, and we'll say it's at 0.8 at the moment, and we're wanting to move it to 1.8. Is that okay?
Yep.
Bulk density, do you know roughly where you are? 1.4?
Yeah, probably would. I don't know off the top of my head. I haven't looked at it for a while.
And we'll do
No one.
30 centimeter soil depth, and we apply that. And what it's saying is that you'll absorb 160 tons of carbon dioxide equivalent. And now, instead of having that 480, which is your 2023 emissions, by sequestering carbon, you've basically brought your farm emissions down to 200 and something else, 220 odd. So planting trees, improving soil carbon, revegetation, these are all absorption. Hello, little one. Sorry, Jeremy. All absorption opportunities as opposed to avoidance opportunities. And that's going to help you have conversations with farmers about what's realistic, what would you like to do, what wouldn't you like to do, okay? The biodiversity, we're going to run out of time here, guys. It's a tool within the digital twin, and it sort of doesn't matter because what happens from here, if you're going to be the regen advisor, just drop me like Gavin and Deanna, Jeremy, Emma, just drop me a Andrew at regenfarmersmutual.com email and from your existing personal account, and I'm going to set you up a regenfarmersmutual.com address so that you'll be Jeremy at Regen Farmers Mutual, you'll be Deanna at Regen Farmers Mutual. That will either mean upload insurances or share with me to share reports. And then it's time to go contact your farmers with the link and the discount code. And what's going to happen when you've scheduled your first farmer, I'll come with you and I'll do that one. Really, I'll take them through the setup of their digital twin, mapping their assets, walking through Ruminati, running the carbon opportunity finder and the biodiversity opportunity finder. And I'll help you walk through the reporting template. The next time you do a farmer, the second one, you're going to take the lead and I'll ride shotgun. So if you fuck something up or you forget something, I'm there to help. And then I'm going to assume that, you know, we'll have a debrief. And if you're comfortable to go on your own, and I hold you in confidence to be able to manage the personal and the technical, then you'll do the remaining 8 in your region of the pilot 10 on your own, produce the reports, share them with me and the local team that you're working in. And what we're going to have is essentially 10 profiles within the community by the end of November. So this is going to happen quite quickly, around what does a carbon emission profile look like for the enterprises in our region? What are the opportunities they have for avoidance and absorption? What are the carbon and biodiversity opportunities? And from there, when we come together in that first and second week of December for our various roundtables, our first community gatherings in each of the regions, we're going to be much better equipped and much better informed than working on hypotheses and gut feelings and hunches, because we'll have some data to work with. Does that all make sense?
Yep.
All right. Now, Emma, are you going to do the Regen advisor role in Western Murray on your own, or are you with, yeah, so I haven't quite understood. Lee, are you the farmer avatar and Jack's cat herder and things like that? And Emma, you'll be the Regen advisor?
That's correct.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. And then Jeremy and Deanna, you'll be the Regen advisors in Southern Tablelands and Northern Rivers. And we have Kim Wilson as the Regen advisor in the Upper Clarence. And she has been, and Gavin, sorry, you'll be with Deanna as well. And Kim has done the Upper Clarence. She did the Trap Rock one, so she's already trained up and ready to go. So I think we're good to go, but please do send me those emails so that I can set you up your @Regen Farmers mutual addresses, and we'll go from there. Okay. Any questions? Stunned silence. Have I overburdened you? Or should I just press stop record and then you can tell me what you really